to order the Leominster School Committee of
This meeting is being recorded.
September 8th. Can everyone please stand to say the pledge allegiance of the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which is one nation, under God, indivisible, with all.
Thank you. I'm going to read the school committee statement. The committee represents the needs of all Leominster Public School students and places their interests above all others. We will exercise leadership, adhere to our protocols, and base our decision upon a reasoned assessment of all available information. We will advocate for each of our schools and support high-quality public education in Leominster. So at this time, we're going to open up the public forum. There is only one person who has pre-registered to speak, and that is Mary Caparilla. Mary, if you can unmute yourself, or and then please state your name and address for the record. We'd be happy to hear from you.
Hi, my name is Mary Caparilla. I live at 4 Prospect Terrace right here in Leominster. Good evening. I'm not only a parent of 2 high school students, I am president of the Leominster High School Music Boosters, and on behalf of the 8-member booster board, I am speaking out as why we don't have the band director, Robert Bergeron, in place at the high school at this time at the beginning of the school year. Not only is Bobby an exceptional leader, but as a mentor, he is to those who teaches. He has touched so many lives in a short time at LHS. He has brought life into the music program. He looks beyond the high school, but to the district as a whole, and sees what the future holds. He has passion to make the program bigger and better by working with other schools in the district to ensure that the band has a future. I would also like to mention a few high points from the past year that the band has experienced under the tutelage of Bobby. He put them back on the field with an extensive halftime show, and he brought the band back to competition status with a 3rd place award at MICA, their first year back. We feel that it would be detrimental to our city, the marching band, and to the children of the Leominster Public Schools as a whole if he was not brought back to the high school. Bobby has brought fire, passion, and pride into the eyes of the youth of our city. We are appreciative for the hard work that Barry Hudson has given to the band prior to Bobby taking over. However, if this program is not taken seriously and we are not placed in a positive role model for young musicians, this program will die. Without Bobby Bergeron, the program is going to die. We feel that it is of utmost importance for us to let our voice be heard. Please do whatever you can to get Mr. Bergeron back up to the high school where he belongs, especially as marching band director. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to open it up to other folks in the public. If you wish to speak, please do so now. State your name and address for the record.
Madam Chair, this is Claire Frieda. How are you?
Good, Claire. Nice to, hear from you. I can't see you, so go ahead.
Just real quickly, I was just tuning in to listen to the meeting. I didn't realize Bob and Chris are in. Well, I don't know if they're just doing a presentation or it's time to renew their contract or both, but I just wanted to put a word in for them. I've worked with them very closely with Rotary and Breakfast of the Bands and a number of different issues at the high school, and they've just been incredible in terms of working with us, working for the good of the students. And I think Mary Caparella just brought up the band. It's an integral part of the kids growing up in the high school, and I think everybody's really done their part. Difficult times, but big decisions to be made, but hopefully they will be all on the right side. So thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Would anybody else like to address the committee at this time? Would anybody like to address the committee? Please unmute yourself, state your name and address for the record. And one final and last time, if anybody would like to address the committee, please do so at this time. Having no one come forward, we're going to close the open meeting portion of our meeting. We're going to move on to communications, Superintendent.
There are no communications this evening.
Thank you. Why don't we move right into the superintendent's report then, please?
Thank you. Today was a tremendous day. We began our meet and greets at every one of our buildings. Students and families came, and whether they had an in-person, a drive-by, a Google Meet session, we began to set expectations for each one of our learners. We set up communication protocols and methods in which discussions can happen fluidly with families, with staff, and with students. We also were able to distribute materials, resources, and devices. It was so nice to see students on campus. They were having conversations under trees with teachers, leaning out cars, talking. It just felt like where we should be on September 8th. There was a line in front of the high school around the building by 9 o'clock, so I think that's a good sign. And we were able to distribute over 500 Chromebooks just from that one site. So these meet and greets will be happening all week long. So if there are families that didn't get their meeting established, please contact your school. But the turnout today was tremendous. So every one of the buildings, very busy, moving right along. There were still students that had appointments inside the building, so we accommodated that. And it just felt really good getting ready for opening day for students. Grades 1 through 12 is Monday, so be ready. And then kindergarten is on Wednesday, September 16th. Currently, our team is still working on 3 additional mini hybrids, which we would like to bring forth to the committee on September 21st. We are finding it essential to bring in our kindergarten students, our smallest little guys. They want to be in the buildings and the teachers want them in their buildings. We also have our ESL learners, our newcomers, levels 1 and 2. We have quite a large population that need the attention in person for staff. And the last group are students that receive resource room accommodations. If we could give those services in person, it would so support their remote learning and benefit everyone. So on the 21st, the team will bring those 3 additional forward, but I do want everyone to be aware that we are looking at kindergarten in Leominster, ESL services, and resource room moving forward. And we're excited to begin this process. So I thank you for your time, and if any of you have any availability over the next couple of days to just drive by one of the schools, it's the most uplifting thing to see our families and our students and our staff doing what we do best. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Superintendent. That's a wonderful update. We're going to move on to presentations. We have daily health checks. So Steve Mamoni is up first, and he's at the controls.
Good evening, everyone. If you'll just bear with me for a second, I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, so tonight I'm going to talk to you about the just one of many safety protocols that we have in place. This one is starting off with our staff. And so according to the Department of Public Health, the guidance that they've given us, we have set up a staff check-in. So each evening, all staff will receive an email, and they can respond to this. They can respond to this email they'll ask a few health questions. If staff chooses to do it by paper, they can also do that. So one of 2 things will happen. They'll receive an email that they'll respond to over the course before school the next day. So that will be occurring daily with them. I'm sorry, I just got distracted admitting somebody into the waiting room, from the waiting room. So, okay, I'm back. And so the information will be collected and then distributed to the school nurse will receive that information, and the administration will receive the information. It will come in the form of a report. And so the purpose of this is to check to see if the staff members have any health concerns prior to them entering the building. Okay, so here on our screen, you can see an example of the form, and they'll ask the questions of temperature 100.4. That's recently been updated this past week. And so it's 100.4 in the past 24 hours. had any signs of illness, which you can see includes sore throat, difficulty breathing, any gastrointestinal symptoms, fatigue, headaches, muscle aches. It's a pretty extensive list in the past 24 hours. And then close contact with a person that is known to be infected with a novel coronavirus in the past 14 days. So staff will complete that questionnaire, and then the results will get sent, like I said earlier, to the nurse at each building and to the administration. Excuse me. So you can see that'll come in the form of a table. All of the warnings, if somebody answered that they had a fever or that they had any of the symptoms, they would show up on the left side, and they'd be colored in red according to the answers that they gave. If staff did not respond, they would appear on the right side of the form, and then the secretary may know that that person's out on a maternity leave, and that would be okay. That'd be acceptable reason for not returning the form. Likewise, they would go and they would check and make sure that the person was in school, or they'd know that they were already had called out and was sick for that day. The nice part about this form is that it can be completed on their phone, and an example of that, it also will be completed by paper, either way. One of the ways that we were able to accomplish this is through a partnership with our Fitchburg friends, Fitchburg Public Schools. We had talked to them, and Chris Turner over in Fitchburg. We have the same student and staff information system, so we were able to adapt some of the work that he did to able to pull this off. Also, we are looking to put this out for students. So right now we're doing for staff, and we're looking to expand for students. So we just started this week, so we're just testing it out in the next few days, and then if it's successful, we'll design it for students. Parents will have the option, though, to complete it by paper, but I do believe a lot of our population will utilize the electronic version, either by phone or, if they sign into their account. Okay, so I believe I have everything that I wanted to share. If you have any questions, I'll take that now.
Does anybody have any questions? I'll call on you really quick. Brandon?
I'm all set, thank you.
Melissa? You need to unmute. All right, so just a quick question. Would that be individual to student or per household? I'm just thinking of some larger households like mine who would be getting 4+ of them a day.
So I believe the guidance says that it's required for each student. But I will check with Kathy Goddard on that and make sure.
Okay, thank you. Isabel?
I actually have a quick question. You said it can be filled out on paper. Is that going to be something that they receive after school is over to bring back the next day, or something they receive when they enter the building that morning to quickly fill out?
It'll probably be given the day before, but I would leave that up to each individual building, how they would best want to distribute that. But it's a pretty simple form, 3 questions, yes, no answers, so they could have a stack of them available. It can be online, so a person could print it out if they have that ability at home. But I think the schools will be able to best handle that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Sue? Mike?
Yes, I have a question. So it seems to me if the answer to any of those questions is yes, you're supposed to stay home and not come into the building, correct?
That's correct.
So my first question is, is the form actually set up so that if you say yes to any of those, that it on the next screen reminds you of that? you said yes to this, so you should stay home, because that would probably be helpful.
Sure.
In which case, my second part would be, then I have a problem with paper forms, because we don't want someone showing up and handing you a paper form that says yes. They should be staying home then.
Yes, and so if they did show up, they would have to go into the quarantine room in the nurse's office.
Right.
We'd assume that the parent, if they showed up on the bus, the parent will be contacted. I will look at that and see if they.
Although I think Mike was also referring to staff. Staff shouldn't be driving in to hand you the paperwork that says they're sick.
No, absolutely. I believe staff will get that idea. It may be new for some parents, so we may have to explain that to them. But staff did have the opportunity in each building to discuss this, saw the same slides that you did with their administrators. And so that's what the process we're doing now. We're trying to work through that. Like I said, Pittsburgh's also doing that, so we'll see what responses they had. We put our heads together.
Because I'll just say, if you read it carefully, I would have to check yes on that today, not because there's anything with me, but because my son just got a fever and some of those symptoms and got sent to be tested today. But, you might be thinking I'm filling this out for me. So it's in the wording, you or a family member. So then, but of course I wasn't sure. I knew the policy was if I had any of those things, I shouldn't come in. But a reminder that I actually had to call my HR just to be sure. And they said, yep, you should stay home until you get the test results. So I think it might be, I think we'll have fewer people in the building needing to be quarantined if we're able to pop up, well, you said yes, so please stay home and call your healthcare provider and make sure you're okay. Make it automatic, if possible.
Good. That's good feedback. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome. That was all I had.
Thank you. Peter?
Yeah, I apologize if I missed it. As far as the staff questionnaire, that's building, it's building by building, correct?
Correct. Building by building.
And for the students, I assume it's the same. And then so the follow-up to that kind of goes off of a couple things that's been said is flagging if there are multiple students from one household. If one of them pops up as a yes for one of the questions, is there a way to then check and see if they have a sibling in another house or someone who lives with them in another house that probably also shouldn't be attending classes because of the questionnaire?
Sure, that's, I'm going to redirect that to Kathy Gaudette, so I will put that on my list of questions to ask her.
Okay, yeah, I mean, part of it is a simple adding into that reminder, if your child was yes for one of these, then anyone in your household, potentially should go get tested or whatever it is, depending on which question they might tick off, it might change. But just looking at a way to track if one student is a yes and then seeing if they have someone from the same household who might not have flagged one of those for whatever the reason might be. I'm sure most of the time it will be innocent.
Yeah, and I know Kathy has done a lot of work with her nursing staff around all of those scenarios. I'm just not as up to speed with them. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Peter. Ron?
No, I've been listening to all of Peter and Melissa and Mike. They filled in all the questions that I may have had.
Thank you. How about you, Dean?
Well written out.
Dean, do you have any questions? Okay, having not received a response, just one question I had, is there any kind of ramification for staff or students who are not filling this out on a regular basis?
Well, it is required, by the Department of Public Health to collect, for them to respond and for us to collect the information. So, it is required.
All right, thank you. If no one else has any other questions, we're going to move on to food service update. And we do have Bob and Chris here from Chartwells, and we're thrilled to have you with us.
Great guys. These are great guys.
Good evening.
Hi.
Well, sorry about that. All right, thanks for having us tonight. Chris and I are going to talk about the USDA and food service updates that we get going on these next couple of months. Thank you, Steve, for pulling that up. You can go to the next slide. And it's just myself and Chris on the Zoom call tonight. So next slide, Steve. Okay, we're going to jump right into it. The USDA has extended the nationwide waiver for the summer food service program through the end of the year of 2020, or until available funds run out. And this is going to include that all meals that are being served will be at no cost for Leominster students. Also, multiple meals can be picked up at one time, because right now, traditionally, in the summer program, we have to have allotted breakfast time pickup and a lunchtime pickup separately. But they have waived that, so when somebody comes to pick up meals, they can just pick them up at one time and together, so they don't have to come twice. They also are going to be waiving some meal pattern requirements as necessary, so we'll have a little flexibility for certain meals. And the big thing, too, is allowing parents and guardians to pick up meals for their children. Again, traditionally, it's always been that the student has to come and get the meal. So they waive that going forward. So that is a huge thing for us as well. And all the meals that are being served, the district will be reimbursed at the free rate. Those are the big things that the USD announced about a week ago or so. So, Steve,
this basically this is a continuation of our summer service that we just came through, an emergency meal. So the transition should be pretty smooth and easy, given that we're mostly remote here in Leominster.
Yeah. All right. Next slide, Steve. We do have a big town hall call meeting with the state this Thursday at 2 o'clock, and some of the things that will be considered will be the current things that we're doing now. We are serving weekend meals. We are doing holiday meals, and obviously we're doing non-operating school days. So that is going to be on the agenda for this Thursday's call with the state, amongst some other important things as well. And, we hope that will continue. It seems to be a big hit in town, having the weekend meals and helping people out on the weekends as well as holidays. So that is going to be a big call. And another thing that's going to be on that call as well is all us directors and, of course, Chris and the district managers we're worried about, do we have to identify students? So that'll be a big thing on that call Thursday, because right now we do not have to identify students. But if they say, yes, you're going to start identifying students, then, the parents or guardians that are picking up that would have to identify who they are picking up for. And it would probably be a little horror show, but hopefully, like I said, with some positive things on Thursday, that will go well. So,
just a background, the USDA released this information at the end of last week. We were hoping to get information like this a few weeks ago. Because there are some districts we actually sent letters to parents about new service, but the USDA came out with this information and the waivers at the end of last week, and each state is trying to figure out how to disseminate the waivers. So it should be the same exact process that we've been doing the last 3 or 4 months, but we will find out definitely from the state on Thursday, I think, is a town hall call, or Tuesday.
Yeah. You go to the next slide, Steve. Thanks. Yeah, so we're just really trying to keep a lot of open communication, speaking with the principals and about the students and the school needs. So we have a big grid going on in my office, and so, like I said, we're just reaching out to the principals, which have been great. They've been great communicating back to us. So we want to just make sure we touch every student, make sure every student at least leaves and arrives with a breakfast and a lunch. So we're trying to capture everything that we can. And like I said, the very important call is this Thursday at 2 o'clock with DESE. And as Chris stated earlier, yes, the USDA did come out with some things, but we have to hear it from the state to make it really official. You know, they gave their parameters, but the state, like I said, is going to come out Thursday, and hopefully we'll get a lot of these questions that we have answered. So we're going to continue with the same sites that we have right now. We're going to do our grab and go program at the high school, Donnie Appleseed, Fallbrook, Francis Drake, and we're going to run the same times from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're going to remain the same. We're also going to be going to Litchfield apartments, which we capture quite a few students over there, Monday, Wednesday, Friday as well, from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we're also home deliveries. Very special thanks goes out to the emergency management. They really stepped up, and they said they were going to, you know, go as long as we need them to go. So thanks to Jim LeBlanc and especially Val Brennan as well for, you know, doing that service for us as well. And we're also going to be doing, like I said, we have a grid going with the principals, and, you know, we're going to be serving in some of these schools, you know, for the students, the few students that are coming to the school. And, you know, if hybrid starts to, you know, move forward with the kindergartens, we'll be ready for that as well. The only challenges I really see for us this year are, you know, we have currently 63 employees, and I can only bring right now about 30 of those back as of right now. So that's, you know, a third of our force. So, but we are on a rotating schedule with them, so, you know, everybody will get a little piece of the pie, and, you know, hopefully everybody will be happy. But the other challenge that we have, you know, a lot of these food service workers have children in the system. So, you know, a lot of them do have to stay home and accommodate, you know, the young ones and the young ones' needs as well. So that's going to be a challenge for us as well, you know, going into this year. So you can go to the next slide, Steve. So other than that, I mean, like I said, it's all about this Thursday's call. A lot of gray area with the state right now. The USDA made it pretty clear what, you know, they could recommend, but, you know, it really comes down to the state. And like I said, we do have a little gray area there, but we should know more by Thursday night, hopefully. So,
and most of the funding is coming from the USDA. So again, I'm assuming that they'll release information to us so we can actually start planning for serving these meals as we have been. But I've heard from other states already, and it looks like they're falling in line with USDA recommendations and waivers. So we just wait for Massachusetts to give us the good word.
All right.
Great. Thank you very much. Do you have anything else to add before I open it up to questions?
Nope. I'm good, Chris.
No.
Okay. All right. We'll take questions from the committee. Sue, do you have anything? Sue, you're on mute.
No, I do not have any questions. I just want to thank you, though, for all your time and effort in serving these children.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
Ron, do you have anything? Ron, you're on mute.
No, I don't have any question. Everything was self-explanatory, and to echo Sue's statement, yeah, I thank Bob and I forget the other one's name.
The other one's Chris.
Chris, I can never remember. You're both doing a very, very good job. It's inspiring to see you guys doing your work.
Yeah,
it means a lot for the district.
Right. We've got a great team in place.
Isabel, do you have anything to add?
No, I guess I want to echo everyone's thanks and appreciation. Making sure all of our students are fed and have full bellies, and everything you've done so far has been phenomenal. And I really appreciate what you've done since the pandemic started, even before that, and what you're continuing to do now. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Peter?
I don't have anything either. Just, you know, echo what has already been said with the thank you.
Brandon?
I as well don't have anything, just want to echo the thanks. And I think second thanks to OEM is well-deserved through my work at Ginny's. I've seen the amount of work that they've done to help make this possible. So thank you guys as well, too.
Great. Melissa?
I think the only question I have is, ideally, you're going to be able to continue to provide the meal services 7 days a week and holidays. If for some reason that's not the case, is there a date that would change, or is that up in the air waiting on Massachusetts as well?
Well, so that's something they're probably going to announce on Thursday. And if there is a change, we will get word out to, our superintendent, and she'll, we'll get it on Facebook. We'll get it as fast as we can out and try to communicate as, on the sites and for the, the particular patrons that come through the line as well. So we will get word out quick. Hopefully, keep our fingers crossed that we can continue what we're doing. So.
Okay. Thank you again. Thanks to all your staff over the summer. They've been wonderful. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa.
Dean?
Yeah, no, I think it's admirable that the federal government and the FDA is stepping up. This is really critical at a critical time. And the emergency management workers are all volunteers, and they've done this from the very beginning, and they are committed, and they are, as I said, volunteers. They don't get paid, and they are a dedicated, passionate group of volunteers. And then I guess I was muted, and I just wanted to check with Steve Mamoni on the health check-in system to make sure. I assume it's in other languages, and B, I'd like to know what the participation rate is. I don't want to just assume that everyone is checking in some way, paper form or not. I'd like to at least know that, we've got a certain percentage of people that are participating. So if we need to work on getting the word out to other groups in the community or to parents or somebody that might have missed the communication, then I'd like to know that. But if the participation rate is good, then that's fine too.
So right now it's just for staff, right? We're rolling it out for staff, so it's only in one language. But we will translate that into our most prominent languages when we do develop the student one. It won't take a lot to develop the student one. It's just changing some of the language, some of the paths.
And adding the emails.
Yeah.
And then adding the emails probably. But can you just let us know the participation rate?
Yeah, we're really looking for 100% participation, either by the electronic version or the paper version, because we need the information each day.
And what if somebody doesn't fill it out?
We'll go find them.
Right, so the nurse or the admin will contact that family directly.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, Michael?
I also want to thank you and emergency management for the service. And I think you already sort of answered this, but and I think I know the answer anyway. But I just want, when you learn more on Thursday, you'll of course let us know what the result is.
Of course.
Yes, absolutely.
Look forward to that. So thanks again, and I'm set.
Okay.
And I'm last, and I just want to say thank you. You guys are awesome. Chartwell's rocks and has taken great care of our students and their families. And thanks also to emergency management. So it's a team effort, and we appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right. So now we'll move on to the HR report. Superintendent or Jim?
Jim Riley?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I was just going to give a general HR report and then take a few moments if anyone has some questions and do my best to answer them. I want to start off just by talking a little bit about how we got here. I did this during our last report, but really due to the financial uncertainty related to COVID and then our legal and contractual obligations, we were compelled to make a reduction in force. And I think that just to give some size and scope to what we were faced with, I don't think this has happened really in the last 40 years since Prop 2.5. Our original level of layoffs was up to upwards of 121 teachers, 58 tutors, and 82 paraprofessionals. Much on the other side of that, we've never seen this level of rehiring. I think this is really unprecedented with the number of people we've brought back on board really within the last 3 weeks. And I say that just because we are truly thankful in the Human Resource Department for everyone's support, including the city, who has to help us process all of these employees as they come back into the fold. And that's been, I know, a particularly artisan task for folks over the last few weeks. just to remind everyone about the kind of guiding process we've gone through, the principles we've used in calling staff back is we've primarily looked at issues of equity as they relate to students. And so, you know, first round was bringing back guidance staff or other social emotional support staff that may have not been in all of our buildings or looking to support our English learners. We look at equity in terms of programming. So as an example, CTEI, we made sure that there were 2 teachers in every shop there. And then we finally looked at, in the final kind of part of our recalls, is looking at equity amongst our buildings. And so we looked at class sizes and made sure they were equitable across the elementary schools, in our middle schools, and also at the high school level. With that equity, we've also really tried to concentrate on making sure that all of our teachers are certified. I would say we have the highest percentage of licensed teachers in the actual area that they're teaching that we have ever had. And so I think that we're very proud of the work that principals have done in making sure the folks we do bring back on board are properly certified and licensed to provide the services to the kids they're with. Finally, I would like to say a thank you to all of our staff. We've asked them to be very flexible. And so we have a lot of teachers right now who are working under one of their secondary licenses. And so an example may be our phys ed teachers at middle school are actually teaching health, which they're licensed for and have taught in the past, but really requires them to do something different than they had in a previous year. We've also asked several of our teachers to work at different locations or to even teach at a different level. They've been licensed to teach at these levels, but again, it may not have been the level they had taught at the previous year. And so we truly appreciate them doing that. And we feel like that's going to put us in the best chance to be successful and have a good student experience this year. And so I really wanted to give you an update on kind of by the numbers. We have up to 109 staff who we've hired back at this point. That includes 14 professional status teachers, 48 non-professional status teachers, and we still, although that's not included in the 109, we have about 7 open positions that we're interviewing and looking to fill at the current time. Amongst our tutors, we've called back 11 positions. These are primarily ABA tutors associated with our specialized programs, primarily those serving kids who might be on the spectrum. And then finally, we've called back 36 paraprofessionals. Again, these are related primarily with either our instructional classrooms like a kindergarten or preschool, but then also our specialized programs, so whether it be inclusion, to provide support to English learners. Those folks were primarily helped out with both the special education department and then also Renee Koska in the curriculum department. I'd like to thank them for their efforts to identify where the needs are and make sure we had staff in those areas to support those kids in classrooms. And so, you know, the logical question at this point is, where are we now? We're staffed to be successful for remote learning and our micro hybrids. You know, but that's really where our staffing is, and we're prepared to enter into a hybrid model with probably some tweaks. These are not our anticipated staffing levels at the end of the year, however, especially if we move towards any type of full in-person learning. There's a possibility that we're actually going to need more staff at the end of this year than we had last year if we enter into what they're using for guidance and we end up going towards a full in-person model. And so I think it's important to folks know that that's partly why we've approached hiring the way we have. We're going to continue to make informed, deliberate staffing decisions because we don't have the financial budget right now to return everybody to work, especially given that we feel like we may need more staff than we had last year if we have a full return to in-service or in-person learning. Before we're able to kind of make those decisions, though, we need some, more data. We want to remain financially responsible, and we are trying to do that given within kind of a finite budget. We don't want to be going back to the committee and saying we need these positions, but we don't have the funding. And so we're waiting for a few things to get some additional data. Some of that is financial data. Right now, to our knowledge, the state budget is still unsigned by the governor. It also is for a 3-month period. And so we're waiting to see what those final determinations will be, and then ultimately what our final funding will be for the remainder of the fiscal year. The other thing we're trying to look at closely is our unemployment costs. You can't have an impact of the number of staff that we had for our reduction in force and not be mindful of what it's costing you in unemployment. And so that's something that we continue to monitor on a weekly basis to see what funds we are going to have available when we need to call back further staff. Finally, we're looking at the impact of COVID-related leaves. There are 2 leaves that currently would expire at the end of January, but they revolve around both the need for childcare and then also our illness related with COVID. Those could have a substantial impact on our budget if we're not mindful of how we're approaching those issues. And so we're trying to make sure we've maintained some flexibility to address both of those issues. There's also a need for us to gather more student data. And so when I say student data, I think we have to have an understanding of a few things. One of them is, what's the size of our cohort that's going to be requesting full year remote learning? And that may have us move forward and actually try to identify teachers who may be able to provide services to those kids on a long-term basis, but we haven't gotten the commitments to allow those families to get a true understanding of what that need is at this point. The other thing is we're looking at our student census. And so this includes K. The superintendent mentioned it earlier tonight. We plan to fully open for K. And whatever we're offering in our regular hybrid, we'll be offering for kindergarten. And I think, you know, as she mentioned to the committee tonight, we're actually would be exploring bringing in our kindergarten students a little bit earlier. And so that's something that we really hope will impact our registrations for K, and people know that we are looking to give a great experience in kindergarten this year and to make it be in-person learning as soon as it can. And then a final thing I'd say is we're looking to see what some anticipated needs of our student population might be. We know we haven't worked directly with our kids in about 5 or 6 months at this point. And so we don't know what they may need or what they may require for services that we have not anticipated. We don't know if there's some regression. There'll be need for additional services in additional areas that we don't know of at this time. And then I think the superintendent also mentioned a little bit earlier in her report, we also are right now currently registering students who we don't know what their level of need is. And so we have to be prepared if we need to pivot to make sure we're staffed properly to give those kids who are new to our district what they need. And then the final point I'd make about where we stand in terms of hiring staff back is that the uncertainty about our next learning model. The different learning models really require us to have different staffing approaches. And so until there's certainty, and I think we all anticipate at a minimum to be going towards a hybrid model at the end of first quarter, we may be faced even moving beyond hybrid, and maybe the state is at the point where they ask us to do full in person. We don't know that. But the types of decisions that you would make in terms of staff you bring back would be different in each of those models. And so while we feel confident how we are right now in remote learning, if we went towards a hybrid, for example, then we would need to make decisions about probably expanding our custodial staff. And so we would have the ability to make sure we were disinfecting rooms in between cohorts. If you had an AM and PM cohort in the original model we had proposed for hybrid learning, then that might be something we would need to look at as far as hiring custodians. Where if you were in a hybrid model, we also may be looking at bringing back more duty aids than we would have previously to make sure we're giving elementary teachers, for an example, opportunities for mask breaks. And so those kinds of decisions are going to look different depending on the learning model that we enter into. And we're trying to make sure we're going to be as flexible as possible to hire the right people at the right time. And so we can be properly staffed with whatever situation we're faced with. Would you like, I'd be happy to answer any questions folks may have at this time.
Sure. Sue, do you have any questions?
I do. So, Jim, at our finance meeting, it was mentioned that there's potentially 90 employees.
Sue, I apologize. I'm not getting your audio. I'm actually going to move next door with Steve Mamoni. I'm not getting audio on my computer right now, so I'm going to move.
Okay. This keeps happening to him? That was me last week.
Good thing he's right across the hall.
They are. They're sitting there. It just keeps happening.
Oh, after Sue, I'm going to go to Ron,
Okay.
and then Isabel and Peter, just for people to be prepared.
Okay, so Jim, at our finance meeting, it was mentioned that there's potentially 90 employees that might go on the FMLA. And, you know, can we, like, first of all, can you explain the FMLA? Is it 6 months that they get 2/3 of their salary plus full health insurance?
Yes. And so when we talk about the leave, Sue, and I apologize, thank you for your patience. There are a couple different leaves that are associated, and they're the Families First Corona Response Act that came through, and there are really two types. One is a 2-week leave that's associated primarily if someone actually is exposed to the illness or needs to quarantine because of the illness. So then it's also available to folks for childcare. And so if they had a reason where they weren't able to be at work because of childcare needs, because childcare wasn't available to them, then they could take those 2 weeks as needed. And they would be funded, as you said, 2/3, and then there are some thresholds as far as the maximum amount they can receive. But generally, it's 2/3 of their salary. And then there's also a 12-week associated one that is primarily around childcare. And again, that's due for when employees don't have another option for childcare, and then they need to be at home. And they would be able to take that as well. Now, the two would run concurrently, so the maximum benefit for anybody is a 12-week period. What we're trying to do, and we've had about 90 employees inquire either about a need to get an accommodation because of a health condition, or primarily have reached out about childcare concerns. We've worked really hard with the union to look for options that will enable our employees to be supported in that need and would not require them to take a leave. That's been our primary strategy. And so a couple of examples are the superintendent's worked with Mindy Marcello and our Creative Choices team, and we'll be working to try to make that available when we go into a micro-hybrid model for employees to access and pay for at a very low cost. We are going to grant employees the option, if they're going to be back in our buildings, if they want to, per DESE guidance, to bring their children while students are not back into a building. We also are going to have accommodation meetings where if students are still being taught remotely, to extend the period where folks may be able to teach remotely from home. And so the reason why we're doing all that is A, so our staff can feel supported in taking care of their families, but B, to make sure that we can have some continuity in our staffing, because the last thing we would want is someone to invoke one of these leaves and for both the families and then also particularly our students to not have some continuity in who's instructing them. And so our goal is to address all that and to try to limit these number of needs, but we don't have any certainty, you know, really at any time somebody could say, I need to take this leave. And then not only are we paying 2/3 of their salary, but we're also paying for the substitute to cover the class. And so it really is a potentially big issue. I think a lot of districts are dealing with it. We certainly aren't the only one. I applaud both Paula's efforts to have options for the staff, like the Creative Choices program. And, you know, I think also our union, I think we really are trying to work closely with them to take care of this in a very responsible way, both for our students and for our staff. But it's one of those unintended, I think when it was passed, the goal was for people to not go to work because they or not to lose their job because they had no one to watch their kids. It's kind of morphed now. And so I don't know what they're going to do, say, come January 1st or January 1st when these leaves expire, but it is something that is on our mind. We're working very diligently to address proactively.
Okay, just one comment, Paula. We might want to, you know, put together some rough numbers of what this could look like, you know, because as you said, it's not just paying that money out, it's also paying subs, which, I mean, I just think we need to put all this out there and hopefully it doesn't come to fruition, but I really think we need to put some numbers together. That would be my thought.
We'll have a good, I think, measurement of where we're at in that Jen Mundy's helping me out, and we're actually going to have personal meetings with all of the folks who have reached out and contacted me, and we're going to make them aware of what these options are and see where they are in the process. Some people who have originally contacted me have already gotten back and said, I'm going to be okay. But we should have a better sense in the next 2 weeks to have a better idea about what the financial impact could possibly be. I would say we're definitely going to know by the end of September of those actual numbers like you're asking about. My hope is with kind of our plan of action, they really are going to be minimal to what they could have been. And, you know, like I said, we're going to make sure we have the best student services we can, and then our staff are going to feel supported as well.
Okay, thank you. Next is Ron. Do you have any questions?
No, it's just, it just goes to show you that this is all a work in progress. You know, as Jim was saying, we really don't know what's going to be showing up at the end of September, or heck, during the month of October, even January. I hate to say, but we're all waiting with bated breath how it's going to impact us and how it's going to impact other districts.
Yep. All right, Isabel?
I do have a quick question, and I've just been getting a couple of emails and texts from folks regarding deans, particularly at the high school level. And so I was just curious if there is an intent to hire them back in that capacity, just only because from what I understand, they played like a really integral role during the remote learning in the spring with contacting students and families who may not necessarily have been participating during normal working hours and just checking in and making sure everyone was all set. And I know at other levels, guidance counselors and principals may have been playing that role, but at the high school level, deans were playing that role. So I just wanted to throw that out there and see if there was an intent on that hire back. I know we want to hire everyone back, so I'm sure the answer is yes at some point, but just wanted to ask that.
That was a really good short one, Isabel. You did it.
Thank you so much.
Yes, we would love to hire them all back.
Thank you. That one wasn't as loaded as my previous one.
I think, you know, the big piece is we truly were not in a full remote setting in the spring. Going into the remote, we just really, I'm actually looking forward to starting next Monday so that we know what we are dealing with, what the workload will look like, what we will need, because we weren't there in March and April and May. And so now that we're 100% at that level, we'll get a full impact. You know, what is guidance doing? What is administration doing? What's everybody's role? Because right now it's just changing. And so everybody's willing to pitch in and help. We're really agreeing to slow down, to make sure that we are making good decisions, because I'd love to have all those people back. Deans are essential. They do the work that, you know, they're the ones that go to court with students and they show up at the front doors and they do all of that. Honestly, we just don't know what this looks like right now. So once we're in there and we have, you know, our feet established in our programs, we feel good about our programs. We don't really know. So we know that we're going to have to tweak things and maybe hire people to do jobs that we haven't had in the past. We are looking, as of today, I talked about it in finance, we have some virtual teachers that we have to hire. We need them on alternate schedules to accommodate our families. So things like that keep surfacing. So the deans and other facets will keep coming back to the discussion.
Right.
So thank you for asking that, though. Yeah. I know people have been asking.
Everyone is essential, in my opinion. I think every single staff member is essential. And so, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that things were being discussed. I know we are in ever-changing times, new times. We are in a completely new way of education and learning. And the spring wasn't remote. I hate to call it remote because it's not. It was a scramble to try and get everything settled the best it could for the time being. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that was discussed at some point tonight. Thanks.
Thank you for bringing that up. That was a good one. Peter?
Yeah, there's this one thing I wanted to bring up. I brought it up during the Finance Committee meeting tonight, but it was pointed out I was drifting away from the financial aspect of it, and so it was more of an HR thing. I was just curious in the future if we could get something with the numbers, you know, potentially by building in terms of where our staffing is currently at, including the information separated with that shows the risks and who we've brought back since. It's been asked by me, by members of the public a couple of times for that sort of thing. So I'm just looking for something that we can share with, it'll be helpful for us as well, but something to share, because I know there are still questions about staffing levels in some of the buildings, and I hope that will, go a long way in relaying any of those fears that still are out there.
That's no problem. We can do that, Peter.
Brandon?
Isabel took the one question I did.
About the deans?
In that I think, as we look, yes, about the deans, sorry. And as we start to move towards a hybrid model, I think having them, back and ready to go is only going to be more and more important. So
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and I echo everything that Paula said. I have to say, too, I don't like the word deans to describe what they do, because I think a lot of our deans have some of the most healthy, very supportive relationships with students. And they really, I think we both, Paul and I, would acknowledge they do a great job supporting the kids, all kids.
I completely.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brandon, I thought you were done.
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay. Melissa?
Hi, and I apologize. I'm having my own Wi-Fi issues here, so if the question was asked, I apologize. I guess in regards to possibly if teachers do need to take leaves, I guess my next question is about substitutes. And if we are in a hybrid or remote format, have those teachers now been trained, or can they be trained to be working on a new digital platform that may not have been what they were using in the past as well?
So the answer to that is, we just had that conversation today. They must be trained.
Yes.
So Jim is working with the teachers union around substitutes right now. So we have to identify building level subs, because we still want to keep our bubbles, right? So we need to assign them per building, then train them, and then communicate, how do you get into somebody else's Google Classroom to put out lessons? It's tricky, but like we said, people have already put in for days off, so we know we need that level. We weren't thinking about subs, but it's already become very apparent that we do, and training is a must.
And it's the sad side that we do have so many people who are still in the reduction of force. We have a complement of folks who are interested in being subs for us, who are familiar with the Google platform, because I completely agree with your point, Melissa. We want them to have that competency to make sure they're supporting kids, especially during a remote or hybrid scenario.
Dean, do you have any questions?
Yeah, a couple things. Jim, good presentation. That was very, very helpful.
Thank you.
But if it would really be beneficial to us and our finance team at City Hall as we're trying to follow along in the budget. We've had a difficult time trying to follow it along, but you've made a number of projections, a number of different scenarios. I assume when you talk about reserving X amount of dollars in the event that X happens or Y happens, that you've got that sort of listed somewhere as to this is our projection if we go back in January, if we don't go back in January, or if we need to bring in, custodians. I'm sure you have that all sort of blocked out. If you could get that to us, or somebody could get that to us, it'll make it a lot easier as we try to follow along in the process. As people ask us questions and we report to the council what's happening, we have a better idea, because you've listed like 10 or 15 different scenarios. And each one of them is either holding back on funds or reallocating funds. But that's very difficult to kind of follow the dots as to what that means in anticipation of October, or November into December and January after vacation. And I'm sure some of it is, what happens in flu season and all of that. So projecting is wonderful, and I enjoyed your presentation. That was a lot of information, but putting that to numbers would be, for us at least, would be extremely helpful as we sort of follow along.
Yeah.
The other thing is that, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to respond, and I will tell you, I wish we had more numbers than we do right now. And so I feel confident that we're going to give you a good sense, for example, where we're going to be at the leads by the end of this month. Some of the things I'm talking about are going to be dependent on continued negotiation with the unions. And so one of the things we always do is work with the unions on what the work schedule is in our various learning platforms. And so we would have the curriculum team would present a schedule, and then we'd work with the teachers as far as what that looks like. And I only share this because what we're going to be doing next, we have a committee, Brandon's actually helping us out, where we're working and meeting with teachers around creating a memorandum of agreement as we move forward. And right now, we've come to agreement on, say, our remote learning schedule, but our next one will be that hybrid schedule. And some of these staffing decisions that I've been speaking of will really depend on what's important or what the concern is for teachers. And so that's when I gave the example about duty aides or paraprofessionals coming back in. We need to have the capacity, or lunch. Like, say, if the recommendation is still to have lunch in the classroom, then we're going to have to work about what kind of staff members can we have available if that teacher needs to take a distinct lunch. Or if they're staying in the room, how do we get them fast breaks? And that's something that we're going to have to negotiate. And so absolutely, Mr. Mayor, we will get you the financial information. I wish it was more crystallized for us at this time. But as you know, we are in a completely evolving landscape. I think Ronnie mentioned a little earlier. It's just, it changes almost by day, if not by, certainly by week, and sometimes it seems like by day. But I hear your concern, and we'll do everything to get that to you. But I'd also, just to be transparent, tell you that a lot of that work is still very evolving.
Okay, and so I guess as a start, what you do know and what you do have numbers for, and then you could just sort of build off of the other scenarios, that would be helpful. And secondly, thank you for acknowledging the staff at City Hall. They just got through all the paperwork for those that were laid off, and then started, and this is what they do all day, then they started the process for hiring back. Wendy Larson, for instance, is a one-person operation down there as a part-time employee for healthcare, Blue Cross Blue Shield. That's all she's done since probably June, between fielding inquiries for people about insurance and then actually doing the whole insurance process later on, and now re-upping people who may be changing a plan or whatever. So that's all anybody's done. So thank you for acknowledging them. Oftentimes we miss that part, that these people are spending all day now, and it's still not complete. And as new people come back onto the system, and then it was talked about, either around $1.9 million worth of salaries were either those that retired or just chose not to come back. So that's substantial when it's not just people that we laid off and then rehiring. It's going to be a whole lot of new people too. So thanks for acknowledging that part. And the third point, real quickly, is Boys and Girls Club. I believe Monty Tech contracted the Boys and Girls Club, and the Boys Club. I talked to the Boys and Girls Club today, and they're pretty open to, they have a facility there. They're pretty open to doing those sorts of things where, if we have to pay 2/3 of the salary of a teacher, maybe it's worth it for us to look into what our cost would be for those essential workers to have a program at either in one of our buildings or use the Boys and Girls Club as an option. And I just throw that out there because I just had that conversation today, not knowing this was going to come up tonight.
Nope, totally appreciate it. That's great to know that resource is out there. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right, thank you. Michael?
Thank you for the presentation. There was a lot of talk about hiring people back, and we have hired a lot of people back, and I'm happy at that. And some specific talk about deans. I just want to make sure that we all remember that the current total appropriation we have is about $4.7 million short of bringing everybody back. And the deal that the state has promised us, which would be an extra $1.7 million, we've been promised that. Of course, that still hasn't passed the legislature, been signed by the governor. And I think I heard today from Isabel that the plan is not till October for them to actually do that. So even after that $1.7 million, we would still be $3 million short of bringing everyone back. And in normal circumstances, we have all these extra circumstances. So it's still a difficult landscape. I'm very much in favor of the deans, but of course, bringing a dean back means there's somebody else you don't bring back, because we simply don't have the budget to bring everyone back. So I trust that, you're making all those decisions about who do we have to have, balancing all the different things, and it's difficult. I guess that's the main thing I wanted to say.
All right, thank you. And I just want to say thank you very much, Jim, for your presentation. And, I echo everyone's, concern that ideally we would like everyone to return. And, hopefully we'll keep working on it as things develop. So thank you. We'll move on to our next topic, which is enrollment update.
Yes, I'm going to handle that, Eileen.
Okay.
So this is really important. We're watching this daily, and currently we are down about maybe 250 students, which really affects our bottom line next year for FY22. I mean, we haven't even started FY21, and I'm already worried about FY22. The biggest impact, as you can see, is our kindergarten. We're down at least 140 students in kindergarten. That's happening across the state, and it is a concern. And we have followed up with almost every one of our parents to say, how can we help you? How can we, support you and come in? Some of the reasons are very valid. They're trying to make family situations workable, and where kindergarten still isn't required, they're willing to take a gap year. But I have to say, our enrollment center, if today was any indication, was literally out the door. So we're enrolling, we're allowing school choice, we're talking to every single one of our families. You can see the bottom line that grades 5 on up are still quite high. It's most of our younger elementary students, and it does come down to a child care issue. So we're working with families, we're reaching out to anyone we know who is having students come in. There are some parent groups that we're working with as well that are doing, little groups and trying to share the wealth. But we're going to continue to give you at every meeting one of these enrollment updates so we can watch the course of what's happening. There is a big push right now, I know by at least my urban superintendent team, to ask the state to hold districts harmless next year in the numbers, because everybody is going through this right now. It's up for debate right now. We'll keep our fingers crossed, but we are watching the K through 4 right now, and especially the K numbers, and we will update those as soon as we can.
Thank you, Superintendent. Next up on our agenda is the superintendent. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I just have one question. So the line that says parochial, are those the ones that were in parochial school and now they're going to public school?
They're in parochial school now.
But they're switching to public school, right?
Yeah. So we've been going back and forth because they're open fully. We've got people that are choosing, they work. That's what they have to do. And then I love the conversations. They all say, we'll come back. We'll come back as soon as you open. But we're trying to hold them with us.
But those are ones that, this is your enrollment. So they were in private last year, but they're going to be in the public school this year.
Right.
That's money that we don't have for them, technically. Well, we get it, but we need to spend it on them. Okay.
Correct. Yes. Thank you, Sue.
Did anybody else have any questions about enrollment? Brandon, did you?
Okay. No questions.
Okay. I didn't see anybody else raise their hand. So the next up is the superintendent's evaluation, and I'm going to read off the standards and how the superintendent was rated, and then I'm going to read sort of a narrative. So under instructional leadership, which was standard 1, 7, I should just say that 8 out of the 9 school committee members, I'm sorry, responded. So 7 ranked instructional leadership proficient and 1 exemplary. Under Standard 2, management and operations, 4 rated proficiently and 4 rated exemplary. Under Standard 3, family and community engagement, 5 rated proficient and 3 rated exemplary. And under Standard 4, professional culture, 6 rated proficient and 2 rated exemplary for an overall rating of proficient. And just before I read the overall comments, just to let folks know, proficient is a very good rating. And exemplary is like way above the call of duty, just to give people a little background. And this is new information being shared to the superintendent today. She has not heard of any of these ratings or any of these comments before today's meetings. The guidelines and regulations around disseminating the information on superintendent evaluations does not allow us to give the information to anybody beforehand. So everybody's hearing it at the same time. So overall, the Leominster School Committee has been very pleased with the superintendent's efforts to run the Leominster School District. She has supported growth and advancement of every child through instructional leadership, has kept community engagement a priority, and has focused on fiscal responsibility, all while setting high professional standards for staff. The committee also recognizes that due to the unforeseen pandemic, many plans and the day-to-day focus has been very fluid process and an impediment to accomplishing some of her goals. Despite ever-changing dictates from DESE, the state, CDC, et cetera, Paula has continued to be a strong leader, able to respond to crisis by demonstrating flexibility, making decisions, and working with all stakeholders. Next are some comments directly from various school committee members, and they're all sort of done in like a bullet format, so it's not complete sentences. And there are areas that are going well, and then there's also areas that need more attention. But I'm going to start with the things that are going well first. The superintendent's very approachable, visible at community events, cares for the kids and staff is very evident. Effective leader for Leominster Public School System. It's clear the superintendent has worked to achieve the goals outlined for the district. Leadership and adaptability in developing remote learning techniques and technology were definitely something to be admired and definitely met or exceeded expectations providing the crisis at hand. The ability to continue the school food service after the school closure, the ability to acquire much needed devices to facilitate remote learning were some of the successes. Good presentations for professional development seminars prior to COVID. During the recent unprecedented times, Paula has shown true leadership, consistently fights for staff and students, people appreciate her consistent preparedness and fiscal management, doing an excellent job during a very difficult situation. Somebody commented they felt you met all of your goals. Leominster is lucky to have you. You continue to do an outstanding job as a superintendent, out-of-box thinker, doesn't hesitate to be a risk taker, flexibility to optimize academic achievement in a new environment, and worked with the city to purchase Chromebooks and provide hotspots. Of areas that need continued attention, sometimes we hear information from the community first. Improvements needed, particularly when it comes to hiring and retaining more diverse staff. The website is as a general resource is lacking information and is not user-friendly. Given the ELL's population, offering more information online that is translated for the prominent languages in our district. Need to ensure equity and access for all students. need more diverse staff, better communication with our special education and ELL families. We need to continue to work on remote learning and addressing special ed students' needs. Develop an assessment plan for student achievement and teacher evaluation, given our new remote atmosphere. More transparency in the budget presentation and more collaboration among school building leadership teams. So that's an overview of your evaluation. Everyone was very positive. We still have work to do, which is obviously something that's an ongoing process. But overall, people felt that there was some good leadership. So at this point, I'm going to see if anybody has anything else that they would like to add to this. So Sue, do you want to add anything else? You're on mute. So you're still muted. Sue, you were muted the whole time. I don't know if, Steve, you can unmute Sue.
Isn't it going to be great when we can say you're no longer muted?
I know.
So I cannot unmute you either.
Okay, so we're going to skip Sue at this point in time, and we can come back to her later if she figures it out. Ron, you're next. Do you have anything to add?
I think she's been, I think Paula's been a revelation for the Leominster School District. She has been what we needed the most. She has met the demands and over and above. I don't have any complaints. I think she's done a sparkling job. I don't have any. I just, I'm impressed.
Okay, thank you, Ron. Isabel?
I was part of the committee who helped put this together, so nothing super significant to add. I think, Eileen, you did a nice job of incorporating everyone's thoughts. But yeah, I echo Ron's sentiment. Paula has been phenomenal to work with. I appreciate everything you do for the district. And yeah, fighting for our staff and our students on a daily basis. So Leominster is certainly lucky to have you, and we are lucky to have you at the helm, helping round our school committee troops.
Thank you. Peter, do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, I did mine, focusing on the second half of this school year, because that's when I was on the school committee. Obviously things with the spring weren't perfect, but, I think because of Paula's leadership, they certainly were much better than it could have been. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Brandon?
I just want to echo the things that were said before me. I as well have only been on since the beginning of this year, and it's been a pleasure working with the superintendent, and I just look forward to being able to continue working with her moving forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa? I don't know where Melissa went.
I don't see her.
Okay, Dean?
I'm fine.
Okay, Michael?
Yeah, I just, it's one thing to lead when you're fully funded and everything goes right. To lead us through, the mess that we've been in, the difficulties when things are going wrong, that really shows something. So I think pretty much we've covered how I feel. I just wanted to add that. So thank you, Paula.
Melissa, did you want to add anything because you were
on
camera now? Okay. Great. And again, thank you, Paula. I know this has been a very challenging, certainly second half of the school year, and you've rose to that challenge. So we appreciate all your efforts. Do you have any questions for us, Paula?
No, I don't. Sue, are you trying to speak again? I'm sorry.
My comments.
Okay, there you go.
I'm unmuted now, okay?
Perfect.
No, I just wanted to thank you. I am very grateful that you were at the helm during this pandemic. I've been through many superintendents, and to be quite honest with you, I don't know if we would have survived under some of them. So I'm really grateful, and, you know, I appreciate your openness, whatever, and look forward to working with you and having you redevelop education in Leominster, as education is forever changed. And, you know, I'm grateful that you're at the helm to help us get to the next level of education that we need to be at. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Truly, I do appreciate it. And I appreciate the recommendations. Those are the pieces that I need feedback on. Sometimes you get so stuck in what you're doing, and I could stay focused on this crisis 24/7. It feels like I have been focused 24/7 on it. What a learning curve it's been for me as an educator, 33 years doing this. Never would I have thought that I had to deal with a world pandemic. But I have to say, I am so proud of the people of Leominster, our staff, our students, our supports, our community departments. Everybody just pulls together, and they're there for me. I reach out. I have to reach out quite a bit. So just thank you. It's, you know, people have sent me some really nice emails, parents and different people, and said, oh, I'd hate to be you today. I'm okay being me, and I love being the superintendent of, this is my city, these are my kids. And today was just such a bright spot again, I have to just say. I saw our community come together. And so thank you for having me and for supporting me and helping me grow. And I do have some areas to grow in, so your feedback is huge for me. So keep it coming and just keep supporting what we're doing here, and let's do the right thing by all the children and staff in the city. We know it's the right fight. So thank you again.
Great, thank you. We're going to move on to subcommittee reports. Finance?
One comment.
Go ahead, Sue.
No,
Now you're on mute again. Sue, you muted yourself.
Okay, I'm unmuted. I just wanted to make one comment, because I don't think you mentioned this, that everyone's individual evaluation is part of the public evaluation. So that's a new thing this year. When Ron and I went to the evaluation meeting seminar. So I just wanted to make that known, that everybody's individual is a public document.
Right, and so I will at some point be compiling, I have it all printed out, but I'll be bringing it to Chris so that it can all be part of the record.
Great, thank you.
Right, it did say, the rule said it should be on the web too, the web page.
Okay.
That's what it says, so, you know, we need to, Chris, I think you have the instructions, right? You sent them to all of us.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, moving on to Finance Subcommittee, Michael?
Finance met again today. Much of the financial stuff we've already kind of covered over the course of the Human Resources report and the various reports we've had tonight. We did get presented sort of a very first rough draft of what our revised budget for the school year might look like, but we can't really finalize that until the state actually acts and tells us what our real Chapter 70 number is for the year. But we have something, we have sort of a working document. We do also have quite a long list of warrants to approve. Are you ready to, should I do those now?
Yes, go ahead.
All right, so from the general fund, we have 3 last warrants for FY20. Warrant 53, totaling $288,576.91. Warrant 54, totaling $76,369.70. And warrant 55, totaling $81,674.91. For the current fiscal year, still general fund, we have warrant 1, totaling $132,500.36. Warrant 2 has no balance. Warrant 3, totaling $337,564.17. Warrant 4, totaling $131,010.92. Warrant 5, totaling $386,158.05. Warrant 6 totaling $162,780.23. Warrant 7 totaling $334,382.46. Warrant 8 totaling $130,359.70. And warrant 9 totaling $1,920,225.13. That is the warrants for the general fund. Then we also have the warrants from grants and revolving. So again, a last one, I believe last one's for FY20. Warrant 53 through 55 totaling $154,600.21. And then for the current fiscal year, warrant 1 totaling $153,875.04. Warrant 2 totaling $6,591.64. Warrant 3 totaling $94,343.76. Warrant 4 totaling $206.45. Warrant 5 totaling $138,993.29. Warrant 6 totaling $10,532.81. Warrant 7 totaling $227,881.84. Warrant 8 totaling $449,028.43. And warrant 9 totaling $226,866.95. The Finance Committee has reviewed and approved those, so I make a motion that the full school committee approve those as read.
Do I have a second? Sue seconded. Any questions, comments? All right, all those in favor, we'll do a voice vote. Did you have something to say, Michael, before we do the vote?
Oh, I just wanted to say I miss Nona at this moment.
All right. Sue? Yay. Ron?
Yay.
Isabel?
Yay.
Peter?
Yay.
Brandon?
Yay.
Melissa? Yay. Jean?
Yay.
Michael?
Yay.
And I'm a yay. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Was anything else from Finance Subcommittee?
I think that's all. Oh, yes, we did have, make sure I can find the right piece of paper. We need to approve, we have a bill, of medical services bill that came really, really late for FY20. And I put that piece of paper somewhere. Here we go. Totaling $11,541.57. And apparently there is some regulatory thing that enables that to come up to a year late. At this point, though, because it's FY20, the only source of funds we can use to pay that is school choice. So with no other choice, we made a motion which passed finance. So I'd like to make a motion to spend $11,541.57 from school choice to pay this bill.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
2 seconds. Any comments or questions regarding this?
Just for clarification, this is the Medicare reimbursement money, and we hire a company to bill it. And I guess they the administration shortchanged the encumbrance this year. So I think this translates into we will be getting more money from Medicare reimbursement. So just for clarification, thank you.
Should add to that.
All right, we're going to do.
Should add further, though, that while we pay the bill, the Medicaid reimbursement will go to the city. It doesn't go directly to us.
All right, we're going to do a voice vote. Sue?
Yay.
Ron?
Yay.
Isabel?
Yay.
Peter?
Yay.
Brandon?
Yay.
Melissa? Yay. Jean?
Yes, and I want to footnote that every dime that's ever gone into that account to the city has always been transferred back for 27 years. That's an important note. Mike knows that. He doesn't point that out, and I think it's irresponsible. So I wish to make sure that that is pointed out, that every single penny that's ever come back to the city of Leominster is reappropriated. That is not done in about 80% of the communities across the state. I think that's an important footnote. The public should understand this. We should be transparent with all information, not just some of it. Thank you.
All right, Mike?
Yay.
And I'm a yay. Motion carries. All right, we're going to move on to the policy subcommittee. Ron?
Yeah, did I mute myself? No, you can hear me, right?
We can hear you.
All right, this is the second reading of the mask policy. Mask policy is file EBCFA. Second reading of that, and the second reading of also of the remote learning policy, file IHBHE. I'm asking, is everyone okay with this?
So you're making a motion to approve those second reading?
I'm making a motion that this is the second read that we vote on this.
And then, Melissa, you raised your hand to second it. Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding this? If not.
Yeah, I have a comment.
Sure, go ahead, Peter.
So for the mask policy, the EBCFA, I don't know if this was corrected after we got the packets, but under the employee section, the last bullet point, it includes the student clause of like as determined by a teacher, in which case the teacher will utilize appropriate social distancing measures. I mean, I would, for the employees, I'm guessing that was just kind of a mistake that was carried over.
Yes.
And so do we need to address that now before we?
Yes, I can take it out.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the point itself is where it should be. It's just the last half of it. Just needs to be reworded. I just wanted to point that out, though. Thank you.
Excellent, good catch. So with that correction, we have a motion and a second. We'll do a voice call vote since we're doing this remotely. Sue?
Yay.
Ron?
Yay.
Isabel?
Yay.
Peter?
Yay.
Brandon?
Yay.
Melissa?
Yay.
Dean?
I'll be a yay.
Michael?
Yay.
And I'm a yay, so motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on. We did the approval of minutes. We have the open meeting law violation. Superintendent?
Chris Silverman has this one.
Okay, Chris?
I was contacted by the attorney from Copeland and Page. There was one open meeting law violation that he did not address, but he said it was exactly the same as the other one, so he was going to file it. So he just needed you to vote that this would have been the fourth one because we only voted for 3 of them the last time.
Okay. Can I have, Dean, did you have a question?
No, I'll speak on the old business. Through the meeting tonight, there were a number of messages coming to me during the meeting that people didn't know about it. They didn't know what the ID number was. I'll speak to that on the old business.
Okay. So as far as the open meeting law complaint, can I have a motion to acknowledge and approve the response from Copeland and Page?
I'll make a motion that we accept and vote on Copeland's Page presentation.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Oh, okay. Peter, second. Any other thoughts or comments? We're going to do a quick voice vote. Sue?
Yay.
Ron?
Yay.
Isabel?
Yay.
Peter?
Yay.
Brandon?
Yay.
Melissa?
Yay.
Dean?
Yay.
Michael?
Yay.
And I'm a yay, so that motion carries. So now we're moving
Eileen, you
on.
might want to, Eileen?
Yes.
You might want to explain the process. This is not the end of the process. People now have an answer from the school committee, but they also can now go to the attorney. They can also bring it to the next step. So this doesn't mean that these complaints go away.
No, it's just our response to the initial.
Well, I think we have a responsibility. Right, Eileen. I think we have a responsibility to explain. This is what we are supposed to be explaining things to people as our meeting goes along, not assuming that everybody understands the process for every single thing that we do. And we should explain that we have 4 complaints. This is the process for a complaint. And we read the complaint. We have an attorney respond to it. but there's also another step to the process and then even court action if necessary. We should explain that so people understand that this is not the end of the process.
So thank you, Dean. You did a nice job explaining it.
Thank you.
New and old business?
So during the meeting tonight, there were a number of people that are confused about the process, and I'm not posting blame at anyone, but clearly there are people out in the community. As I said last time, people are now, we used to have meetings where just staff showed up, but now it's piqued interest. People are want to engage. They want to see what's going on in our meetings, and I think we've got to find out where the disconnect is and why people are having a difficult time, connecting on. And again, I don't know where the issue is, but I do know that we have access to every single parent in our system. And the superintendent sends out an email, and then there are a number of emails that go out to parents. Not once. Now, that last meeting that we had, not once was it mentioned that there was a meeting. B, if you'd like to be part of the meeting, here's how you become part of the meeting, and explain, well, if you want to be part of the meeting and you want to speak, you have to register first, be invited, and then later you're going to get an email explaining how to get onto the meeting.
So I know that the meetings haven't posted, like we have posted all of our meetings for the last over 20 years in any case. And this one in particular had a whole paragraph about how to call in, how that we would be letting anybody in at any point in time. I don't know whether we want to read it all here, but it certainly was posted, and we certainly can talk about other better ways to reach the public. But
Eileen, do we not have staff and parent email addresses?
I have no idea, but I would assume that we would. We would have to refer that to Paula.
Yes, we do.
All right. Did we send any notification out? This is a difficult time. People used to come into City Hall and read the notices. The newspaper used to carry this. The newspapers haven't posted any of this. So we, as a committee, need to go above and beyond. As elected officials representing our particular groups, we need to go above and beyond to get the message out. So are we sending messages out because people want to interact? They want to be involved. This is what we've sought for so many years. But it gets very confusing. I'll tell you, I had to dial in twice tonight to try to make a connection. I tried to dial in on the Zoom, and I couldn't. And I'm on Zoom meetings all day long. It happens. But what I'm saying is we have the ability. Every Sunday, the superintendent sends out an email to every parent. None of this is on there. That there's an important meeting coming up. I urge you to you can watch it. Here's where you can find it. You can catch it later. None of that. So either we can do that and start getting this information out to the parents, or under the Freedom of Information Act, we can ask for it. And we can get everybody's email addresses, and we can send out a letter notifying or an email notifying parents about what's going on. So this is a time to go above and beyond, not just post it somewhere where, people may or may not see it. It's the time to go above and beyond to let people know, hey, there's a meeting, and if you'd like to access it, make it as easy as possible and as understandable as possible for them to either listen, watch, or make a comment. We had one person tonight speak at the public forum. I suggest we've gone from hundreds to one. There was a disconnect somewhere. That's all I'm saying.
Although
we've got to go above and beyond.
The same process, and actually it was a broader process this time because you could join at any point in time.
All right. So where was this advertised, Eileen? Where are the locations that this was advertised? I'm asking you as the chair. Where was this advertised?
So I would refer to Chris, our secretary, who's the one who posts the meetings, as she has for the last couple of decades, probably.
The meeting was posted at City Hall. It's on our website, and how to dial in. And also the entire packet is on the website, and LATV is streaming it live.
Right, because we asked LATV to stream it live from the last meeting. That's why it's on live. And I'm just saying, we have the mechanism to communicate with all the parents and staff, and we're not using it. And as a policy, the policy subcommittee should work on that. But the next meeting, we should make sure that we have to go beyond posting a notice at the school department or putting on the website. If we have to pay to put out social media or whatever it is, then we should do that, because people are interested in what's going on right now. This is affecting them, their family, students, affecting staff, everyone, and they want to be engaged. They care about what's going on, and we need to go above and beyond. As I said tonight, I feel that I don't know how many messages here, either through Facebook or emails or text, saying they didn't know there was a meeting, they didn't have the ID to get in, and I'm not blaming that. Excuse me, I'm not blaming that on anybody. I'm just saying we've got to go the extra distance, and we have the ability. It's not like we don't have people's email. We send out an email when it's convenient. And
right, Jean, you made your point numerous times. It's an excellent point. So I'm not arguing with your point whatsoever. Michael has a comment.
So, first of all, I want to thank the city clerk, because she has been posting public meetings on the city website in the calendar, as well as putting up the paper notice at City Hall. And each of those notices includes a link so you can see the agenda. So I want to commend City Hall for that. Our city clerk is now making this more accessible than it used to be. I think I sort of want to agree with Dean, though. I've been a parent of a student in our system since 2001, and we have never, it's not just a new thing. As far as I know, I've never gotten a school communication to you as a parent about, there's a school committee meeting coming up and here's the agenda. And so I think it's maybe a good idea. I think I agree with Dean. It would be a good idea as a general rule, when we're getting ready to have one, just include that in the communication that we're sending to parents anyway. So it's just one more alert. And it could be as simple as alerting people that the school committee meeting is coming up, and that you can get the agenda from the city clerk's, from the calendar on the city webpage.
And I believe, and I don't have the school calendar in front of us, but are the school committee meetings listed on that?
They're on the website.
Yeah, the regular.
And our typical meetings, just for the general public, not to say that we shouldn't do more, our meetings are the first and third Mondays of the month. It's on a Tuesday today because Monday was a holiday. But in generally speaking, we are back on our regular schedule, which we were not necessarily on at the end of the summer, because we felt it was important to get information out to families as soon as possible, as opposed to waiting for the next meeting. But we are now back on our regular schedule, so that should also aid in people being able to access us and find out when the meetings are. So we can certainly explore those options, Dean, to get the message out there. All right, anybody else have anything else under new or old business? Michael and then Isabel?
Yeah, I have a question. In an email communication I got from my child's principal, seemed to indicate that the LEAP program has been canceled or modified dramatically or something. So I have questions about that. I believe the LEAP program was approved by the school committee originally, so I'm wondering if maybe we don't have to approve changing it or getting rid of it. So I would like to maybe at the next meeting what's going on there and have a chance to weigh in.
No problem.
Right, thank you for bringing that up, Michael, because I've also received some communication about the LEAP, as I'm sure everyone has. And that is a program that the school committee does need to vote on. We did vote to maintain it, to institute it and maintain it on a couple of different occasions. And it needs to be brought back to the committee if there's going to be a change in the program.
No problem. Thank you.
Isabel?
Yeah, just something under new business to potentially consider, and I want to echo the sentiment from something Melissa said in our last meeting about extracurricular activities. So we have taken up sports or at our last meeting. And so students are going to have that opportunity to have that social and emotional interaction and piece in their daily routine. But I don't know if this is something we need to take action on or something like that as a school committee, or if this is a superintendent decision or potentially decisions that are made by particular principals at different schools. But starting to implement extracurricular activities. I know many folks at the high school level who participate in extracurricular activities, and those teachers who are their sponsors are looking to start implementing them in a remote setting, and they have submitted their plans to principals to hopefully get that up and running. But I think that we should, as a committee, start looking into that if we've allowed sports, because it's also a really important piece for students in that way. And I know Steve Paula with her hand up, so maybe she has an answer for me.
So we've asked people, we had a lot of people reach out about instrumental lessons, band, chorus, the theater program. So what we've asked people is, we don't want to just say it's happening and we haven't checked in with the teacher, because they're trying to learn their craft in a remote setting. So we've reached out to principals to say, if you want to have these programs, just talk to your staff and ask them to write it up. What would it look like in a remote setting? Because right now, with students have a shortened day and a shortened year, right? And DESE really doesn't want us to have kids before school or after school in the buildings. So even when we have them in, it's come in, get what you need, and then you're going home. So what would it look like? I mean, there's some really creative thoughts, so we're not opposed to it. I just don't want to say to teachers, oh yeah, and now you've got to do this as well. So if they want to start something, we've just said, can you write up a plan what it would look like? But don't feel like you have to. I get it, but don't feel like you have to.
Right. I was just curious to see if that was part of a conversation, because I know we, as a committee, have decided on implementing sports for the fall season, and there's certainly extracurricular activities outside of sports that happen in the fall as well. So thanks.
And that helps keep students.
I was just going to say, just to clarify, that was only for high school students, not the middle school students, just to make sure everybody's aware of that.
Yep.
So, all right. So maybe at our next meeting, Paula, we can have sort of a report on where things stand for other curricular activities.
Sure.
I know in-person choir and band was not something that was being allowed thus far, but that certainly might change in the future.
Yeah, there's actually some really great plans coming out around that. So we think we can do it.
Perfect. That would be wonderful.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else have anything under new or old business, Peter?
Yeah, so in the beginning, Paula, you mentioned a couple new micro hybrids, and I'm not bringing them up to debate them at the moment, but could you repeat what they were again?
Sure. We're working on plans right now for kindergarten, ELL, at least our newcomers, levels 1 and 2. And then we have students who, quite a bit of their day in special education, they have access to a resource room in very small groups. And those teachers would really like to have, at the elementary level, their students in front of them. So we're putting proposals together to bring back on the 21st for your consideration.
Okay. And like I said, I'm not bringing it up again to debate those. We'll save that for the next meeting when it's on the agenda. But the reason I wanted to clarify again, so I've heard a couple of things about the IEPs, and I understand, all the concerns and everything that's going into that. But is there anything that is preventing one-on-ones for IEPs? And obviously they're all individual, so there, certain circumstances can have different obstacles. But is there anything you need from us? Because we are under primarily a remote model, but with the IEPs there is the legal stuff, and I don't think anyone was trying to leave them out at any point. No. But I just want to clarify: is there anything from us that is that's hurting that?
It's just not being in person. So the one-on-one instruction may come through the remote setting for some students. And then we have the mini hybrids who will have their one-on-ones in the buildings when they're there. Some of the pieces too is we don't want children one-to-one without a parent knowing that they're alone with somebody in a Google Meet. So there's a lot of law behind it. And we're working through all of that. But it's not that we can't do one-to-one. It's just, it's going to look different depending on what the IEP service is and what it's for.
And at this point, we're not equipped to send people to people's houses.
No.
Which I know some people have requested, but we're not in a position, nor would that be safe necessarily for everyone, sending somebody into, you know, this person's house this day and the next day going to somebody else's house and yada, yada.
So under the micro hybrid that we passed at the last meeting, that should capture anybody with an IEP where they have to come in person. They should be within those group of students. Am I interpreting that correctly?
No, so the students in the morning micro hybrids are in sub-separate programs. Those are ABA students and
like life skills.
Our life skills students. And usually they have one-to-ones, but there's so many different situations where a one-on-one is necessary. We have many students who have a one-to-one. So the coordinators and the director are going through, they literally are going through one IEP after another, figuring out how to get students all their services. We have the clinics in the afternoon for OT, PT, speech, those types of deals. So students can access those if they choose to. So we want to open up more. Once we can get the determination that we are in a good spot, our city's good, we're hoping to open up more and more each time. Like the resource room, that would be great to be able to afford students that possibility as well.
Okay, no, that clarifies things for me. Thank you.
It's really, it's complicated, it's convoluted at times, but everybody is really trying to make sure students get what they need.
All right, Ron?
Yeah, just to piggyback on Peter's question towards Paula, the one-to-one, would they'd have to be wearing masks? Would they also be having to wear gowns too?
So some of our programs, yes. So Kathy Gaudette has been going in and meeting with teachers to tell them how they, have to wear gowns, they have to wear a mask and a shield.
Both the teacher and the kids, right?
Just the teacher.
Just the teacher, not the kid. Would the kid be wearing a mask?
Some, but if there is a constraint where it's not comfortable, they don't have to.
Yeah. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse. What are the cost constraints? What's the cost factor?
So we've been ordering our PPE through the state grant. We have plenty to outfit students and staff at this point. So that was a real benefit to us because that isn't anything that we had originally budgeted for. All those materials have shown up. They're in the buildings, and they're going through training right now, knowing how to best suit up for those things.
All right. I was just curious. I know that's one of those parts that we keep forgetting, that the PPEs, the gowns, and the mask and the gloves, it's going to start becoming an integral part of the teaching mannerisms.
Kathy Gaudette has done an amazing job. She has stayed on top of that. We talk 7 days a week about what we have, what we need. She puts out trainings. She had videos for teachers. She's there every day, and her nursing staff is amazing as well.
Eileen.
Yes.
You were saying, and Paul, anybody out there, you can correct me. You were saying we didn't have enough, or we didn't have enough, or they wouldn't have enough for the teachers to go to the individual houses. And that got me thinking about, in school, if they were doing the one-to-one, they'd have to, how often would they have to clean the area that the kids or the parents were there?
Kathy's working through that. She also is, the custodians are going through training as well with Kathy to talk about that.
And in going to And if it was mandated, they had to go to the houses, individual houses. Would they have to carry?
I don't think we can mandate school personnel to go
No,
in.
not us. Not us. No. Not us. Pontoot. I'm talking about if the state mandated the schools to go to the individual houses for.
I don't see how that.
Well, there's a lot of things we didn't see, and it happened.
Yeah.
Right. I think there would be a lot of legal issues to that would have to be ferreted first, Ron, and that would give us time to prepare if that was something coming down the pike. So.
I'm just asking, guys.
Yeah, and I don't think we can answer it right now.
No,
Yeah.
But it was just Peter. Peter got me thinking. Anyway, thanks.
Anybody?
Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else have anything under new or old business? All right. We have no executive session tonight, so we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Sue, and do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Thank you, Ron. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm presuming Sue, you're yay?
Yay.
Ron?
Yay.
Isabel?
Yay.
Do you have something, Chris, that you needed to say? You're just waving goodbye? All right.
Waving goodbye.
Yay.
Peter? Brandon?
Yay.
Melissa?
Yay.
Dean?
Yay.
Michael?
Yay.
And I'm a yay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
All right. Stay healthy, people.
Yep. You too. Bye.